To get the most out of this video, be sure to watch video 4.5a first, on characteristics of all nutrient cycles. And video 4.5b will dive into a deeper exploration of the carbon cycle. As you learned in video 4.5a, carbon is an atom found in all four classes of macromolecules: carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Here's a simplified overview of the carbon cycle. In its abiotic form, carbon is found in the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. Carbon makes its way into the food web through photosynthesis. Once in living things, carbon is found inside of all four types of macromolecules. Carbon moves through the food web by organisms eating each other. And finally, every living thing does cellular respiration. Cellular respiration releases carbon from living things as carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. Here's the carbon cycle represented as a diagram. Let's start with the abiotic reservoir. The abiotic reservoir for carbon is the atmosphere, where carbon is found as carbon dioxide gas. Fixation happens when inorganic carbon dioxide is converted to organic glucose during photosynthesis by plants. Plants also assimilate carbon during the same photosynthesis step. So now carbon atoms make up part of the macromolecule glucose. Consumers can't do photosynthesis, but consumers still need carbon, so consumers have to assimilate carbon in a different way. Consumers can't fix carbon, but they assimilate carbon when they eat autotrophs or when the consumers eat other consumers. Once eaten and digested, the carbon in the macromolecules of the organism that's eaten becomes macromolecules in the organism that did the eating. Release of carbon back into the atmosphere happens in three different ways. First, all living things do cellular respiration, converting the energy in glucose to energy in ATP. Cellular respiration has a product of carbon dioxide. So, you can see decomposers, plants, and consumers doing cellular respiration. And the carbon dioxide is released by all living things back into the atmosphere. Next, there's decomposition. When organisms die, have fecal waste, or lose parts like shedding fur or losing leaves, the body parts and waste decompose. Collectively, dead organisms, organism parts, and waste are called detritus. Detritus is the food for detritivores, and when detritivores decompose detritus, the decomposers are doing cellular respiration. And this cellular respiration releases carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. One way that humans have interfered with the carbon cycle is by using massive amounts of fossil fuels. The major fossil fuels that we use are oil, coal, and natural gas, and a byproduct of burning fossil fuels is carbon dioxide. And this carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere, and excessive carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is actually causing some pretty big problems, including climate change. So, let's recap. We said that the major reservoirs for carbon are the atmosphere, fossil fuels, and living things. In the atmosphere, carbon is found as carbon dioxide, but as living things, carbon is found in all four major classes of macromolecules. In plants, the plants do carbon fixation and assimilate carbon during photosynthesis, where they turn carbon dioxide into glucose. Consumers can't do this, but consumers assimilate carbon by eating other organisms. Finally, there's carbon release. Carbon is released by all living things using cellular respiration. Detritivores can decompose pieces, wastes, and whole living things and do cellular respiration on those wastes, releasing carbon dioxide. Finally, humans release a lot of carbon dioxide by burning fossil fuels.